Hello, this is Carlos, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use with the app the power curve template and how to use it to improve your drawing. So as we've been talking in other videos, and I'm sure you're familiar, in this screen you're going to see a power curve as we draw. The power curve comes when we're working on the drive, on the power application, when we're accelerating the wheel, and then the base of that power curve is the stroke length, is how long I'm connected to the wheel, how long in centimeters I'm moving the wheel, the height is the force, how hard I'm working, and then the consistency of the curve, or what the curves, the drawing of the curves and the shape shows how that power application is been consistent and how it's been applied into the wheel, so it can show here the drawing. So now what I'm going to be showing you is how we're going to put a template here, and then you're going to make choice. You have choices. They will ask you what stroke length do you want to use, where do you want to pick, and how much force do you want to do. So I'm going to explain you a little what are these choices and which ones you will choose at the beginning to get better in your drawing. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw, and I don't have any power curve template there. So the three numbers here under the power curve are the peak force, so it's how high I go. The second one is the stroke length, how long I row, and the last one is the peak force position, the percentage. So let's say that I decide to row 50% pressure normal, that I could maintain a 20 minutes row, and I'm rowing like a low stroke rate, so 18 strokes a minute, easy, that heart rate is low, and I'm consistent. And I'm just going to be looking at those numbers. So I start rowing, and I look at those. So you're not going to look at the numbers on the first stroke, so at least take 3 minutes and see what those numbers are for you looking normal. It doesn't matter if they're good or bad. I'm just asking you to look at those numbers and what you normally do there. So I'll start rowing. Okay, my numbers were 450 peak force. I was rowing 125 stroke length and more or less 50% peak force position. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into the screen, click on it, and I'm going to choose a static power curve. And then I'm going to put 125 centimeters, which is what I was rowing at, comfortable. I'm going to say 450, which is what I was rowing comfortable. And then I'm going to say 45%, which is, I like 45%, a little better than 50. I think 45% is a better percentage. So now I have a curve here, and as you could see, it's a little different than my curve later. So now I'm going to, I know that I can do pretty much that shape because I've been rowing that stroke length, and I've been producing that peak force pretty easy. It was comfortable. So now what I'm going to do is try to trace that curve that might have the shape or not of what I had. I want to shape that curve. Now what I was doing is I was trying to trace that ideal curve that is pretty consistent, powerful in both sides, with a good peak force position. So what it was helping me is, inside of my rowing, or what is my stroke length that I'm comfortable, a force that I'm comfortable, and picking at the right place, I was trying to get familiar to that, filling up the whole curve, and overall be consistent. Like each curve should be right on. It cannot be a good one, a bad one, a middle one. It should be all the time like that. So when we achieve that, then we can move forward to biggest challenges. Following that ideal curve I draw here, we see 125 centimeters, 450 newtons, 45%. So I decided the numbers, but the parabola is always following that continuous parabola that is filling up always. The curve is always pushing out and is smooth. Is what is going to teach me to have always pressure in front of the blade. One of the principles to row fast in a boat is to always have pressure in front of the blade. That's what connects us, the blade, to the water and keeps us connected to the boat. So what you're going to do is first learn that. So if you see, for example, that the first part of the curve goes up too high, and then you cannot fill up the second part of the curve, as is on this example, is that the pressure on the blade on the second part of the stroke is too little, and you need to learn to don't use as much on the first part of the stroke and to use more for the middle and the second part. So that's going to teach you to be more consistent over the pressure of the whole drive from the catch to the release with your blade. Later on we can talk about, okay, if you're rowing in an 8 or in a single, or you are a male or a female, or you are strong or not, where is ideal to peak or not. What we know is all the power curves of good rowers that are moving a boat, they are all pushing out and they're all thick and full, which is what you're going to learn. So if your power curve anytime goes in or is not filling up a part of the curve enough, is that you have a weakness there. I made some videos that are on the YouTube channel of Carlos Dinares with Rp3 rowing, and on those YouTube videos that are already loaded on the YouTube channel, you can see what an ideal power curve looks, what's an ideal for male or female of stroke length, peak force, relative peak force position. I'm going to be talking about that further. But what I will say is, what is important is that if you start with this ideal curve with the stroke length and the force that you're rowing normally, obviously the longer you have the blade on the water pushing it with some limits, but you know, good rowers row long strokes and also with a lot of pressure behind the blade. So what I will say is a good way to get better will be, okay, now I can row that 125 and 450 and I'm pretty comfortable and I'm drawing it well. Then next workout, why you don't put 130 instead of 125 and 460 and then push a little more. Obviously it's going to be harder, there's going to be more pressure and you're going to be pushing further, but then now when you're pushing a little harder, let's see if you can draw that curve when the is not going to be as comfortable. So try to row longer and try to put a little more pressure. That's what I will do. Now you know how to use that power curve template and how to choose those numbers to start and follow, and what are the, you know, the reasons why you should do that and how it's going to help you with your rowing. This is Ben Carlos. Thank you for watching.